Welcome everyone to today to our amazing fireside chat. My name is Kelvin, and I'm the chapter director for Startup Grand Helsinki, and I'm going to be the host for today's fireside chat. Today we have in our midst a very special someone, Vesa, who is going to talk about a really interesting topic. Because when you run your business or when you run your startup or your company, as your company grow, you get to realize that, well, you need more capital, more money, you need to recruit more people. So basically more capital are at stake. And most times startups are kind of confused on where they can raise fund, especially if you know maybe just one source of financing, which might be the angel investing or the VC firm. You might know that, okay, it might be difficult to get financing from those sources, but Nordea has a really interesting program, which Vesa is going to be telling us all about today, and how they're able to support startups with different financing options. So you don't have to stick to one financial option, even if it doesn't work for you. So today's fireside chat is going to be basically exploring the different options that startups can use to raise funds to keep growing and be able to create more impact in the world. Thank you so much, Vesa, for joining us today. We really appreciate your time, and hopefully our audience are able to learn like a few things from you, and you are also able to share some resources which they can use to raise maybe their next round of funding. All right, we can go straight into the fireside chat. So the way we structured the questioning is, first, we try to get to know our speaker, because it doesn't make sense to just start talking about finances and people will be like, okay, but who is this person that is telling us about the financing option? So it's good to build a trust. So that's why we'll start by asking Vesa, like, what did you do before you joined Nordea? So if you can tell us a bit about your background before you joined Nordea.
Yeah, that's it's a strange answer, because my answer will be that I was studying, because I've been in Nordea since 1989, so very, very long time. First 10 years roughly in different kind of Nordea finance companies, heading different kind of business units there. Then 10 years heading Nordic transaction banking, part of the transaction banking, cash management, etc. And now the last, I think 11 years, I've been in the, you might say, in corporate branch network, where the last 7.5 years I've been building this startup growth that I'm currently heading here in Finland. So all of my working life, I've been in Nordea. And nice. What else? Yeah, I live in. I was born in Jyväskylä and studied in Jyväskylä, and then moved to Helsinki when I got the job from the very first job from Nordea, and then eventually I ended up living here in Espoo with my wife and 2 daughters. Actually, they have some years ago already moved away. They are that old already.
So pretty much all your most of your career life has been with Nordea.
Yes.
That means you are the best person to tell us about all the financing options from Nordea. That's good. So moving forward, why? Because I know when we had a call, you told me that you are the one that started this Nordea startup program, which for me is very, very interesting, because banks are not the best place for startups to go and look for funding. Their policy, the restriction, the collateral they ask for, the process of their financing is not favorable at all for startups. That's why, if you talk to me about going to a bank for a loan or for financing, as a startup is like a no-go area. But Sam, I had a call with you. You made some things really clear to me, making me understand that Nordea is some sort of a different kind of bank in terms of how you support startups in financing, which got me very, very interested to know more. So, how did you start this startup program in Nordea, and what was the trigger? Why?
Well, it was maybe I think 8 years ago. At that point of time, I was nominated to head the Helsinki corporate branch in Nordea, which at that point of time was the biggest branch with 45 employees in the country. And before that, I was working in Vantaa and Klaukkala, which is like 10 or 20 or 30 kilometers away from downtown Helsinki, and the business was very different there. Then I moved to Mannerheimintie and started heading that Helsinki corporate branch. But immediately I realized that every week there is different kind of small and medium-sized events. And in my previous job, when I was heading the Vantaa and Klaukkala branches, there was nothing. Once or twice a year there was some kind of entrepreneur society, coffee corner, or nothing else twice a year. But in downtown Helsinki, there was every week something ongoing, and I started joining those typically evening events, etc. And pretty fast I realized that, okay, these are some kind of startup events. Most of them were startup events, and then I just became, curious and started attending there every week, because the people were so friendly, and everybody was helping each other, and it was very inspiring, and all having so diversified innovations, and it was so exciting. And then pretty soon I started grabbing new customers for our corporate branch, and I started giving them different kind of loans. We started to learn, and then a few years later on, we had so many startup and growth customers already in the bank that the management of the bank in Finland decided that we will separate this startup and growth customers nationwide away from normal branches, and especially from that Helsinki branch, which had the most of them, because I had with my people several years already tried to get new startups as our customers and giving them loans and helping them in many other ways. And that's how it came. Then we established a totally separate business unit nationwide, like 4 years ago, I think. And now I've been running that. And like you said, it really is something unique in my mind. In the world, there's only one bank that I can look and see what they have been doing great in the past, and what are their plans, and trying to benchmark, so to say, and that is Silicon Valley Bank. They of course have been there close to 40 years, I think, in the business, mainly only focusing on startups and growth companies. But they only have one person in Denmark, and they really don't operate in practice in the Nordics. But that is you might say the core of this Nordea startup and growth, that we are one of the very few banks in the world that really are actively lending different kind of startup and growth company loans for startup and growth companies. And that's strange, but we have been doing that now 7.5 years, and definitely continue. This is not a trial. This is a solid business and steady segment inside the bank. So we are here to stay forever. And if explaining some numbers, in Finland today maybe 320 million euros currently is out there, different kind of startups loans from us, and that is diversified between, let's say, 1,600 startups. So that means that an average loan from us to a startup is 200,000 euros. And on top of that, on top of those 1,600 startups that have a loan from us, we have other bunch that don't have as customers. We try to help them in many other ways, but not yet with a loan. So totally, our customer base is 2,500 startups in Finland, and that roughly is 80% of the whole startup ecosystem in Finland.
Those are really some impressive numbers. But before we get deep into the Nordea startup program, I would just have to say, for our audience, if you have any questions, feel free to use the Q&A section. We'll go through the questions maybe during the fireside chat or after the fireside chat. So feel free to drop all your questions, and we'll ensure that we'll go through all of them before the end of the fireside chat. All right. So you made mention of some really impressive numbers and what you've been doing with Nordea, which got me thinking, like, what exactly is this Nordea startup program? Like, what is it? How does it work? And how can startups get involved?
Yeah, I think the best way to describe is that actually what we do is that we are the one, the best or the one and only full banking relationship for startups, meaning that you also can get on top of the basic services that all the banks in the country and globally are offering you the basics. On top of that, you are able to get funding, meaning debt-based different kind of solutions, and the excellent part of debt, of course, from the founder's point of view, is that it doesn't dilute you at all compared to equity, like business angel money or VC money or money or so. So the best part is that it doesn't dilute you, and after 5 or 7 years, when you do the exit, you get personally much more bigger share if you have been using this leverage round after round when you have been raising money. And on the long term, I would say that maybe a healthy or good number is, let's say, 30 to 40% debt and 60 to 70% equity. So if you are, let's say, having your first round altogether 100,000, it might be good to have 60,000 from angels and 40,000 from us. And after 1 year, you raise 500,000 more, maybe then 350,000 euros equity from a early stage VC and 150,000 loan from us. And after 1 year, maybe you raise 1 million more. Then again, 70-30 equation might work fine. And after 1 year, you raise 10 million. And then we might provide you 2 or 3 million or 4 million, and the rest is equity. So that's like a typical healthy curve that we have seen many of our customers to do with us, that kind of journey. And basically, everybody is able to join Nordea Startup and Growth. It's of course a ongoing discussion always that whether we are able today to give you already a loan, or do you need to improve still a little bit here and there, and let's see after 3 months or 6 months if you are able to show that track record to us, and then you might be able to get that what we were talking about. So we do a lot of that kind of sparring discussions with our customers, that what is needed in order to get the next loan from us. So it's customer by customer, I would say. There is no obvious clear conditions, so to say, that when you like in Finvera or Business Finland and those, they have pretty more. It's more predictable, that like Tempo program in Business Finland, that if you are fulfilling these criteria, then you 99% for sure you will get that Tempo program.
So basically, like the Nordea startup program is not a one size fits all kind of program. It's customized based on the different customers, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so this brings me to the next question, because startups they don't necessarily have a lot of, I don't know, collateral or property or assets or whatsoever that they can trade for loan. So how do you how can a startup qualify for the loan? You know, how can they meet the standard? What are those, I would say, basic requirements that gets them into the front door before you start to customize these details?
Very good question, actually. Yes, because like when we were starting this fireside chat, you said that the first thing in your mind as well, like in my mind 8 years ago, was that the bank is totally wrong place for startups to get funding, and that was the everybody. When I went to those events 7 years ago, everybody asked me, why are you here? yeah, everybody was asking me, why are you here? In the beginning, of course, I was wondering myself as well, but not anymore. Now I understand that we are making good business and we are helping the customers, but the collateral is typically the second question, because startups typically have nothing to offer, and they think that maybe in that is the at least then causing the no to come from our mouth, that no, you need to have collateral. But because we work with startups, we understand that they typically have nothing to offer in that respect. So first of all, we understand that the bank needs to take some risk as well. So that's number one. And then on top of that, of course, we take advantage in many of our customer cases and loan cases. We take advantage of Finnvera solutions and European Investment Bank guarantee programs. Finnvera has at least 3 suitable programs. They have this alkutakaus, then they have this PK-takaus, and then they have this so to say regular Finnvera takaus. And in many times you might be able to use those Finnvera guarantees when taking our loan, and they vary between 50% to 80% of the loan amount that they are able to grant the guarantee for the loan that we are giving to the for the startup. And then European Investment Bank, they have had during this year several different programs, and we have been taking part in those programs all the time. The first one was called ESIR program, and after that came this Innofin, and Innofin is now totally closed in all banks in Europe, and now it's called EGF. And we started that already in February as the first bank in the Nordics. I think we were joining that program, and these programs as well, they have a little bit different conditions, but typically they might be the ESIR and Innofin, they were always 50% of the loan amount that the EU was giving guarantee. And you can, at that point of time, you could combine that 50% EU guarantee with 30% Finnvera guarantee, and that gave you altogether 80% guarantee, which is a huge amount of guarantee already. And the good part of these EU guarantees is that that part of the loan, the bank, in this case Nordea, will be priced according to the same principles as if I would give a loan to state of Finland, which makes the startup loan extremely cheap, actually, because if it's a 50% guarantee from EU, then half of the loan is priced, below 1% margin, and the other half is priced according to the price list based on the rating what the customer has. So on average, I would say maybe not average, but a very typical case is that our total margin, yearly margin, is between 2 and 4%, and that's something strange again, because people think that if the bank gives a loan, then at least it must be something like venture debt, meaning 15% margin and then some warranties on top, etc. But 3-4% definitely is somewhere there, our average. So it is actually cheap as well. And one last point about this EGF program, which is the one that is currently available. There the percentage is 70% that EU gives guarantee for the loan, and on there is the possibility that in some cases, at least we have seen that Finnvera will give from 10 to 20 on top of the 70. So you are able to get from 80 to 90% state guarantee for the loans that we are providing. So a very long answer, but there are different programs, guarantee programs that we, on behalf of the startup, we are recommending different kind of combinations and trying to build a good solution for you when it comes to having enough collateral as well there.
So in a nutshell, you kind of take less risk by getting this guaranteed from like Finnvera and some of these other organizations. So does it mean that the startups will have to pass through Finnvera and this other organization that you mentioned, or you will be the one to take it to this organization to get the guarantee for the startups? How does it work in practical sense?
Yeah, the Finnvera, there is these 3 Finnvera products that I mentioned there. I think in all of them, Finnvera wants to make their own decision as well, whether they give it or not. But when it comes to our customer cases, I would say that definitely more than 95% of the cases where we, together with our startup customer, propose to Finnvera that we together would like to get now this and this kind of guarantee from you, then they will give it. So definitely it is not 100%, but absolutely I know it's more than 95% of the cases they will show the green light. And regarding the EU or EIB guarantee programs, there Nordea has the possibility to make the final decision on that EU guarantee as well. So they have delegated that right to us. So when we are granting the loan, we are also making ourselves the decision regarding in this case, EGF, the 70% guarantee decisions. We are of course following the EU's EGF programs rules, but we have the ability to make the decision. So there we don't need anybody else to just we to discuss with the startup and find a solution.
Okay, that makes sense. So in terms of the type of startups or companies you typically give loan, are there like some conditions in the sense that if they are, let's say, early stage startup, or there must be a growth startup, or they must have, I don't know, some amount of monthly recurring revenue, annual recurring revenue? So what stage should a company be in, or a startup be in, for them to know that, okay, if they go for a loan, they are most probably going to get it? If they are in early stage, is it possible, even if they don't have revenue, or do they need to have some revenue, or do they need to be like a growth startup? So what stage of like startups you consider before you give this loan out?
Yeah, if I start from comparing us to Silicon Valley Bank, is that Silicon Valley Bank, I think it's 93 or 96% of their customers are growth or scale-up phase. They don't take early stage companies as customers at all in practice. But we are very different. We have hundreds and hundreds of very early stage customers in Nordea, and then we stay there the full lifespan. The biggest loan in Finland currently is somewhere more than 10 million, and in Norway we have 22 million case already, and then we are negotiating currently one case where the loan would be 150 million. So we are the full range, and when talking about early stage, there of course we are a bank, so we are looking at future cash flow, because the future cash flow in our minds is the only way that the loan can be paid back, if there is future cash. We do some bridging loans, when there is a Business Finland payment coming after 6, for sure we might make a bridging loan for that, so that you have the money available now, and Business Finland will pay it directly to us actually when it happens after 6 months. Or in some cases, some equity rounds, if the equity round is more or less totally sure that it will come to the as planned, but there are some practical things that take 2 or 3 months still time. We might do a short bridging loan for that, and then we will get immediately the money when the round is hitting the startup's banking account. But when it comes to the normal situation, then of course we are looking for the future cash flow, and in that respect we are not able to give loans if you are developing new medicine or something where nobody has an idea yet that where is the revenue. Is it next month, next year, or does it take 5 years before you get your first customer to pay something? That is out of our scope, definitely. But compared to the other banks, and we are much more earlier there. We have early stage startups which we have granted, let's say, 50,000 euros startup loan, where they have just started to get income, and the revenue seems to be good enough so that they, even though they are making, of course, in the P&L they are making losses, but cash flow is enough so that they can take care of our loan. Then we in many cases we are able to grant that loan, and then there are some cases where the revenue is still zero, but they have closed a big deal that is starting to bring revenue within, let's say, 6 months or 3 months or so, that there is, we know for sure that the revenue is starting up in the future. That kind of cases we are also able to grant loans, some kind of loans already for. But maybe the big question here is that is it that I already mentioned, that what makes us different is that we understand that the startups typically do make losses the first year, the second year, many times the third year, because they invest all the funding they get to fast growth, and that's why we try to understand what is the gross margin that they make the business. If the gross margin is good and they are able to grow fast in the very beginning as well, then it doesn't mind that they are making loss. We still are able to give some amount of loan in those cases as well.
So most times you work with the projection, like the cash flow projection of the startups, and not necessarily what they have now, right?
Yes, absolutely. And in that sense, compared to a traditional bank manager or traditional bank, if that is in the other end of the line, and in the very other end of the same line is a VC or business angel working with equity, I think we are between in that sense, how we see the risk and when are we able to grant some loan or funding.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, I think from the way you explained it, it would if any startup is interested, like really interested in getting a loan, it would be nice to probably schedule a call or a meeting with you, because you will need to understand their business model, their cash flow projection, to be able to analyze if they can access this loan or not. So it's not like it's 100% open, but it's also not like it's 100% not open. So it's like you said, is on case by case basis, right? So for today, it's more or less giving all the startups the information they need to understand when they should maybe come and book a meeting with you to know if they are ready to get that loan from Nordea, and then they can move on to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. And so me or somebody in my team, a very short discussion already gives you that information, whether you are already now capable of getting some loan, or we can typically, we will, if not, then we are able to tell that could it be after 6 months when you have delivered this and this and this results, and we can see this and this and this. It might, in many cases, it is our no is actually that we actually believe that after 6 or 9 months we are able to grant you this amount of loan. In many cases, our answer is like that. And what do we typically need? In our first discussion, I think a traditional pitch deck that you send to business angels or VCs, I think 95% of the information what we need is already there. So typically, you don't need to provide much extra for us. In some cases, when it's a little bit bigger numbers or so, then we might demand a little bit more accurate, P&L and balance sheet and cash flow forecast for the next 1 or 2 years in some cases.
Mm-hmm. What in terms of the average ticket size, how much is the least that you can provide to a startup, and what is like the maximum amount you can give a startup as a loan?
In practice, I would say 50,000 euros is the smallest that makes sense for us and the startup as well. And we have quite many of those actually. And 100,000 is extremely typical as a first loan for our customer. And the average is 200,000 currently. And when going to the biggest, and then like I said earlier, our market share here in Finland is 80%, so it's a little bit difficult to grow anymore. So what we want to grow is to grow with our existing customers, meaning that if we have been so far granting loans at the time when the customer raises pre-seed, seed, or A rounds, we typically now want to be able to grant loans also when they are raising B or C rounds. So that means that we are capable of granting, no problem, 10 to 15 million loans each. And that's where that kind of loans we have our clear ambition that we want to deliver much more that kind of loans that compared to what we have done so far. We have a lot of them, but we want to double that area.
Okay, that's really good to know. I will check through the Q&A section to see if we have some questions from the audience already, so we can pick those up. Actually, we have 2. We have one from Maria. She's asking, what are the criteria that will make a startup eligible for this funding program?
Well, I think I, in a way, maybe answered already. That it's a case by case, and even a 30-minute Teams meeting, or then sending an email with some pitch deck, and we can very fast say that how does it upfront look like? Are you there already now? But like said, there needs to be, if it's a bridging loan, then there needs to be some Business Finland grants or EU grants or VC rounds coming that we can connect that bridging loan. Or if it's a loan, then in the future, somewhere in the future, there needs to be a solid revenue starting up or has already started up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think from the stuff you said previously, I would also say that, like you said, it's on a case by case basis, but to reduce the possibility of getting a no, probably you should have a bit of traction in terms of there's revenue, or maybe you have raised previously some money, or maybe you have some big deal that is coming in. So it's like just to show something, because like you said, you guys don't have like a checklist of, okay, you must have this, you must have this, you must have this, you must have this. It's basically you looking out for which startup has less risk that we can invest in. So if they have, maybe a bit of traction, some money, and if they have like a really nice cash flow projection for the future, showing that in the next year, in the next 2 years, in the next three years, they're going to be making these millions of euro in revenue. So all those things are things that can actually help them like secure this loan. So I think that somehow answers Maria's question. But to get more details, or to get very, very I would say targeted answer to your question, maybe you can schedule a meeting with the Nordea team. Then they can analyze your startup, analyze your current state, how much money you're asking for. Then they can give you an answer whether they can offer you the loan or not. But I hope this answers your question, Maria. All right. There's a second question from Para. What is the typical timeline from first meeting to loan approved? So basically, how long does it take from the first time a startup asks for loan up until the point it's been approved? Also, if you have some examples of previous amounts and the timeline, maybe that would help give a bit of context.
Yeah. If we are talking about those pre-seed or seed cases, let's say that it's 50,000 euros, 100,000 euros, that range, then well, the best examples are 3 years ago. I was in Arctic 15 event, or was it 4 years ago? 3 years ago, I think it was, in the event, and then this one gentleman, Tommy, came to me. We knew each other, and he had there. During that day, he had visited some VCs and business angels, and there was a promise already that if he can get was it 75,000 money, he will get that, let's say 150,000 equity, and his own part was okay to be alone as well. So he came to me asking that, hey, I will get 150,000 now equity if you can provide me a 75,000 euros loan. Then we were there in Arctic 50 with Tommy in that we were having that standing lunch there, and during that 15 minutes lunch, I called to the office, and they checked his credit stuff, etc., and all that kind of stuff, and then we handshaked already there during the lunch. So it was less than 15 minutes. So that's the fastest so fast. But when talking about a typical case, I would say if we get via, let's say, email that kind of pitch deck and some financial numbers, the previous year bookkeeping and some prognosis how this year goes and so on, then we can immediately set up a half an hour, 1 hour Teams meeting, and in some I would say it might be 2 or 3 out of 10 it might be that during that 1 hour session, we already can handshake if we have had the materials beforehand. And in the rest, let's say 60 to 70% of the cases, it's very, very, very typical that within a week from that first session, absolutely 95% of the cases, you will have the yes or no within a week from the very, very first meeting.
Wow, that's pretty fast.
Yeah, and then if you are asking 10 million euros from us, then I would say 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. 3 weeks, 4 weeks might be the typical pre-promise that if you are able to provide me today all the basic material, then 3 weeks it might be a typical range when we will give you the 10 million credit decision.
So the higher the money you are asking for, the longer the timeline. But at the end of the day, from everything you said, even if you're asking for 10 million, it's still within 1 month you get an answer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. So from the point you get an answer, how long until you see the money in your account? Is there anything that needs to happen again?
After that decision, of course, then the startup needs to say yes. Also, that we both say yes. We say that it's okay from our side, and then if the terms and condition is okay for the startup, then they say yes. And then after that, it's like some days, to do the paperwork and sign it electronically nowadays, and then after electronic sign in the next day or the day after that. So within a week, absolutely, you should have the money in your account.
Okay. All right, good. I hope this answers your question, Para. So guys, feel free to drop more questions in the comment section, in the Q&A section. We still have a couple of minutes before we end the fireside chat. So I'll just move on with what we already have in our question list. All right. When I had a call with you, Vesa, you also made mention of, Nordea startup program having this sort of investor program and network where you introduce startups to. So, of course, we've talked about the loan, which is like the main thing, right? But are there also other financing option or support you give to startups?
Yes, very good question. Very good question. During these years, before I answer the exact question, is that we have had our own Nordea crowdfunding platform as well. So that was one of our products. We have closed it now, and we have a partnership solution together with investors. So crowdfunding is one. Then we have had like 4 years in a row. Now there has been a pause, but we have had closed sessions where Nordea private banking persons and some Nordea institutional investment customers as well come to the closed session, and there has been typically 3 to 6 startups that are raising equity, joining the closed event and giving out their pitches, and then the equity round is all that kind of stuff we have been running. Now there's a pause because what we have actively developing the past 2.5 years is our speed dating sessions, and they have become extremely popular. We started them as physical events, but now because of the COVID, last 1.5 years they have been full online always, and now the pace is so that it's every 3 months we have a session. The session typically is scoped so that it might be pre-seed event, seed event, or scale-up event, and then we pick the startup based on where they are currently. And the sessions typically are half a day, 2.5 hours, no more. There's a very short intro in the beginning, and then roughly 2 hours, one-to-one sessions and it means that already before that event, the investors we have sent them the short list of the attending startups, and of course we have the wider pitch decks available if some of the investors would like to look a little bit deeper before the event. And then before the event, the investors are asked whether they want to have 20 minutes face-to-face online meetings with any of the startups joining. And if so, then we organize a huge amount of Teams meeting during those 2.5 hours. And like the past few events, there has been never less than 160 one-to-ones and more than 200 in the most busy ones. So it's typically around 50 investors and around 50 startups in one session. So it tells that the close to 200 tells to me that they are extremely liked by both the startups and especially by the investors. And based on the feedback that I receive, the key reason from the investor side is that because we are picking the startups from our own customer base, every customer has a relationship manager or relationship person. We know them really. So when we pick them, roughly 50 out of these 2,500 customers, what we have. Also, we have Stockholm, Oslo, and Copenhagen. All together, it's 4,500, and we know them all. So we are able to pick really relevant and good cases, and that's what the investors are giving great feedback, that they tend to be interesting. And in most of the sessions, if there's 50 startups attending, typically 48, 49 are getting meetings. So it means that they are good for the startups as well. And the last thing about the investors, 3 sessions backwards, it was a scale-up event, and I checked from the 2020 listing who are the 10 biggest VCs in the world when it comes to their assets under management, and then new activity during 2020. And out of the 10 biggest, 10 activists, I asked 7 if they would like to join our next event, and 6 came. So Sequoia, Andersen, Horowitz, these kind of guys are joining our events all the time. So the really top names are attending these closed sessions. So that's a great value for the startups as well, because many times they have huge difficulties to get into contact with these kind of huge VC funds, global ones.
Mm-hmm. Nice. We have 2 more questions. Actually, the third one just came in. Okay. One from Shisha. I hope I pronounced this right. I'm really sorry if I mispronounce your name, Shisha. So he's saying about like startups that are not based in EU. Do they have access to this kind of funding also? He's from India, and he wants to know if this kind of funding opportunity is available to startups not in the EU.
Okay, this is unfortunately only available for that are here in the Nordics. My Finnish team, we are only able to help and create a customer relationship with a company that is here in Finland, and then the Stockholm, Oslo, and Copenhagen team they can as well help local ones. So you have to be in the Nordics, your company, in order for us to be able to help.
Okay, so Shisha, just a quick one. Basically, you can start your company in India, but at some point you might want to move it to Finland. It's very easy to move your company here to Finland and register it. You can get more information from Business Finland. They have shitloads of resources and information online. They even have a program that helps foreign companies to establish in Finland. So you can check that out online. Just go, I don't know, search on Google Business Finland, helping international startups move to Finland, or we can connect after this fireside chat and we can give you more information on that. We have a question from Lokesh. Sorry if I pronounce it wrong, but just bear with me. So he's asking about the risk tolerance. How is a fresh startup with vision but no financial traction be able to still access this kind of fund? So he's trying to know, like, what's the level of risk tolerance for the startups for you?
Well, I think in a way maybe I already answered it, but the point where a traditional banker is at the one end of the line, and on the other hand, very end of the same line is a VC or business angel, because they are able to get 10x, and they have a much bigger upside. They are able to take bigger risk as well. So my team, this Nordea Startup Group, we are somewhere in between, the traditional banker and VC or business, somewhere in between, it all boils back down to the cash flow and revenue that you need to have it starting up pretty soon, the coming months or so. If it's still too far away and you don't know when the first customers are starting to pay something to you, then we are not able yet to help you.
Okay. We have another question from Vlad. He's asking about the pitch deck. So he said, if I send my pitch deck next week to Business Finland, should I mention that I would like to see Nordea as the founder, like the person that will fund it? And his second question is it holiday time now to send this stuff to Business Finland? It's a good question. You need to know, actually. He's from Espoo, and his company needs funding. He's from Espoo, and his company needs funding from Vesa.
Okay, yeah, it is, of course, in the coming month is the most active holiday season, and many corporates and many institutions are a little bit slow at this point of time. I don't know what is the situation in Business Finland and Finvera. I believe that they have most likely they are slower than normally at this point of time. Here in Nordea, at least in this startup but growth team that I'm heading, we have 1 or 2 or 3 persons in the team all the time available throughout the summer as well. So we are able to go through cases even during the holiday.
Okay, so he shouldn't wait till August or till December or All right, cool. Okay, he said I pronounced his name correctly. Amazing. Thank you, guys. I think that's all the questions for now. Thank you guys for the questions. Really interactive. I enjoy seeing all of these questions coming. It makes me feel like the fireside chat is actually relevant because people are asking questions, enjoying it, and getting some good notes. Okay, so my final question for you, Vesa, based on your experience, what tips or guide would you give to startups that want to raise funding? So this can be in general, but you can specify it to startups that want to raise fund from Nordea. What are the tips and guide you would like to give them? Okay,
Hi.
We have you back. Welcome back.
I don't know what happened. Everything went black suddenly.
It's called technology.
Yeah. But okay. I was starting to maybe say that I have 3 items in my mind. First one was whoever you choose to be your first partner in funding area, choose somebody who has a very wide network when it comes to your coming rounds. If you are choosing a business angel or VC or whoever you make sure that they have an excellent network and they can help you in the coming rounds. And the same power of network comes to the debt side as well. If you are raising money and looking for a business angel now, then definitely you should choose a bank who has the best network and able to help you in the coming rounds as well. And there, of course, you know my answer, which bank that is, but to have a really broad network. And when raising money the first time, the second, the third, and fourth time, my advice is the second advice is that you should not only take money from one source. You should take some equity from somebody, maybe some loan from Nordea, some grants from use multiple of sources, so to say. Then your balance sheet is much more healthy in the coming rounds, and it attracts much more the next investors and so on. So multiple sources. And then the last thing is that you should plan ahead. I see too many times startups, needing right now some money, and they are going too fast towards the first available solution, because they should look what they read now and what do they need after, let's say, 12 months when the coming round is coming, so that whatever they do now doesn't affect negatively the potential investors or the potential loan givers in the round that is coming after 12 months. So have a little bit longer period in your planning and then make the decisions, because then they support also the coming round, so that you don't do anything that will harm. Because I've seen that kind of cases too many times, that you do something now which makes so that nobody is willing to further invest you within the coming 2 years. So maybe that's the key items that come to my mind.
Yeah, I totally agree with the point you just raised now, because I remember getting some advice from, I think it was an investor or something. He was saying that fundraising, it doesn't end. It's a cycle. Once you start to raise funds for your company, as a founder, it's going to be part of your job description to keep raising funds till the end of the company, till exit. I don't know, IPO or acquisition and stuff like that. So, like what you just said now makes a lot of sense. If you're going to raise fund now, if it's pre-seed or seed, ensure that you are also looking out for a way to make sure that whoever you are bringing on board will make it easier for you in the next round. So you don't just go and raise for the money, but you also raise for the network, the contact, and the next funding round. So that's a good takeaway, at least for me.
Yeah.
All right. I think from our side, that's all the quick questions that we have. I really want to thank you again, Vesa, for your time. It's been really informative, the information that you shared with us, the details and everything. We really appreciate your time, and we appreciate you sharing all of this information with our community. And for the audience, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you guys here. And for my team, of course, this event wouldn't be possible without the help of my team at the background, doing all the marketing, all the tech stuff, the designs, and the promotion and stuff like that. So thank you guys for being there for Startup Grind Helsinki. And finally, to Spaces, who has always been our event space partner. We are very proud to be working with you, and hopefully we'll get back to our in-person event. We are planning for a summer party, probably that's going to happen in August. So stay tuned. We're going to be having some physical events. And yeah, stay tuned. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Watch out for our future events and engage with us. With that being said, I think it would be proper to say that we can end the fireside chat now, and we've done justice to this topic. So thank you guys for your time. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a nice weekend that is coming. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.